Anyone else find it crazy how much humans have to work just to have permission to live? We have to spend huge amounts of our lives working just to pay for a place to live. You have to pay taxes every year as well. No other species has to do this. Sure, an animal has to forage for food, but at least they can work at their own rate as long as they don't starve. I know some of these things are necessary, like taxes for defense and roads, but still. I guess I'm more so appalled by the cost of home ownership. What's wild to me is that even with all of this labor, everything seems like a poorly maintained mess. Only the richest places and highest level businesses seem to be actually clean, well managed, and not have anything broken. But fixing things and keeping things clean isn't profitable. Not only that, but the entire purpose of us toiling, suffering our whole lives is to keep society, that is, the system, going. The very same system that demands we toil, suffer ceaselessly till we die. Then we even have children, raise them so they can toil, suffer ceaselessly their whole lives. So on. It's an endless, futile, self-perpetuated cycle of empty misery. Even now, in this modern era, the world is the best it has ever been. It is still awful on so many levels. Most of us don't want to be exploited for our work or give everything to a corporation just to be discarded like trash. It doesn't have anything to do with working hard to live. Many of us are happy to pay taxes and live in a society so we live a better life than animals. We just want to have our fair share of the wealth. I recently heard the average amount of sleep people got in the 1900s was 9 hours as opposed to 6-7 now. And that was in a much sparker time where making food was much more laborious. It's clear as fucking day that 40 hours a week is much more than we would need to work. Even if all the convenience we now have didn't exist. But still, I just got schooled by a person who's worked 36 hours a week her entire life about how 40 is the exact right amount of work. We all deserve to work because life ain't free. I have many words to describe how much bullshit that is. Necessary, like taxes for defense. So they can defend you from the threats they themselves have nurtured over the years in office. You're not alone in your thinking. Having to pay for basic human needs is mind-boggling. Especially once you realize there is an excess supply of those needs. But they're being withheld since they wouldn't provide a profit to someone. There's a very strong argument that we've traded the freedom of a hunter-gatherer society for the security of an agrarian one. But it has spiraled out of control. I mean, it is crazy. Our entire system is built for the exclusive benefit of the billionaires. Our justice system, our legal system, our healthcare system, and you noticed, our economic system. All designed to force people to work to benefit them. Yes, the plutocracy forcing us into financial desperation and lifelong servitude in service to their bottomless greed is pretty wild. Still unclear why we haven't held the billionaires and their servants in Congress directly and personally responsible. I just saw a website for a jewelry store and they had a necklace for $255K. Y'all, that's what we owe on our house and we are scrapping by. Forget about taking the kid to Disney or going back to NYC or ever getting to tour LA. Europe is out of the question completely, lol, and some people just walking around with my house on their necks. Fuck capitalism. And fuck inequality. That's this sub's whole fucking point. Finding it crazy. Well, that's where the worst part of it comes in. One doesn't need permission to live. But they need it to easily access necessities of life. What's crazy is that you say have to instead of are being forced to. Before the Industrial Revolution, 90% of people were farmers. And 100% of people couldn't work without the sun up. Yes, there were candles. But one, they were really expensive. And 2. It's a society without firefighters. With a mow of things built with wood and straw. Working on artificial light was expensive and dangerous. And work at farm follows a given calendar. Between the sowing and the reaping, there's not much to do. Livestock requires constant daily work. And there were all the activities of transformation and confection. But overall, in medieval times, people worked much less than today. Try living with a disease you have to pay for too. You have permission to live and not work, it just won't be a good time. Animals live in the wild. You can totally be homeless in California and live on very little. In fact, you can get free meals and benefits too. No. Life's always been difficult. Try farming, hunting and fishing for subsistence and you'll see what the modern machine gives people. Wild animals live in a constant struggle to find their next meal and in constant fear of being ripped apart while still alive. Something as trivial as a minor cut can mean death by infection. Nature isn't some happy club of singing animals like in Disney movies. It's quite literally a horrific competition for resources that causes animals to do absolutely anything they can to survive, and countless animals starve to death every day. I look at work as the tax for being taken out of the food chain. That amazing luxury is super expensive from a species survival perspective. That's an insane take. Animals do far more to survive. They literally are working all the time to survive. They build their own shelters, source their own food, defend themselves against predators, and still die because of disease, disasters, famines, droughts. There is a very good reason our species set up societies. Having time when you don't have to worry about survival is a uniquely human luxury. My favorite thing is looking at my pay stub, which is taxed all to fuck. Then going grocery shopping, looking at the receipt, which is also taxed all to fuck. Then being taxed all to fuck on my house. Then being taxed all to fuck on any little thing. You've already taxed my income. Stop fucking double dipping. Not compared to just a few hundred years ago when peasants have to do back-breaking work from day break to dawn, and not live over 40. Yes, because we are wage slaves. Resources need to be used to keep the machine going. We are the human resources that keeps it moving. There is no freedom when it costs money to exist. We were supposed to move forward with our technological leaps, but greed created corporate monsters instead. We got the kids out of the coal mines and were starting to develop workers' rights, but they realized a free and educated society is harder to control. Our school systems are based on pumping out bodies to feed the machine. And we've got children working in meat plants getting killed, maimed in 2023. And this is just for labor. Fun fact: we work more today with less time off than medieval peasants did. You can go to the forest and try to survive. No one's forcing you to live with society. This subreddit has turned into a bunch of lazy basement dwelling. It's impossible to live poor me. Wah wah wah. To live is to prove one's right to exist. No. Honestly, I think it's crazy how little people have to do to live. We've never lived in times like these before. Throughout the history of man, you've either worked or you died. Now we have programs to keep people alive even if they decide they never want to work again. You are not entitled to other people's labor. You can't have it both ways. If you don't want to work, you can't require that other people work for you and give you food, shelter, clothes, everything. Yeah, I don't understand either how everything keep going on even if it's killing us.